What we are looking at today is one of those things that, if you understand as a person, you understand as a professional, you understand as an entrepreneur, as somebody who wants to be a voice in his or her generation, it is going to change your life forever. All right. And I want to challenge you that, please, as we spend time on today's concept, like I said in this particular program, I have dedicated each day for a particular concept. And these concepts, based on research and study and personal experience and friends, there are some things that before I start teaching, I ask friends, hey, um, this is a concept I'm developing. Do you see it applicable in your life? Right? And that's why I'm asking people that have done amazing things in that light. And they're like, oh, you know what? I never thought about this in this light, but what you have documented shows what I've been doing without knowing that it's important for my destiny, right? So these things are very, very important. And today I want to talk about a concept that it is very, very critical. And it's one of those things that if it is absent from your life, you can have desire for influence, desire for impact, desire for prosperity, desire for wealth creation, and to change your society, but yet you struggle to see the manifestation, or you struggle to experience that desire. And before I get into the core concept for today, I want to talk about something that I just felt led to add. It was not part of my notes, but based on what I wanted to talk about today, I felt led to add this concept to it. And what's that? Let's fondly say that you don't need money first. And when I say that, many people are like, wait, what are you saying? You see, I always say that you don't need money. You need what controls money. You need what makes money a slave to you. You see, if you want to be sustainable financially, you need to retrain yourself to stop chasing money and start building capacity and building, knowledge, understanding, awareness, and wisdom around the things that controls money, or the things that will make money your slave. There are some things that if they are not in your life, you will be a slave to money. And that's why many people struggle to experience financial rest. Why? Because they are slaves to money. They don't have the things that makes money a slave to them. When it says somebody is your slave, it means you can send that person and call that person anytime you want. Right? So there are some things in your life that if you don't have them, you'll be a slave to money. And you always live in shortage. You would never experience financial rest, right? And one of the most important things you can do that I will talk about is what I call building economic virtue. So when I say you don't need money, I always say you need virtue. You need virtue, right? Because, like I always say, if you need, let's say you notice that you struggle constantly financially, all right? And if you need money, and you start thinking on just money, 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 that means you are hustling for money, you are pursuing money. You have already failed when it comes to the game of money. You can get old and die and never come to a place where you are at rest financially. You see, so what you need to do is you have to focus on what you can deploy that makes money run to you, that makes money your slave. And that's where developing what I call economic virtue comes in. Now, what is virtue? Virtue is a kind of character that creates predictable behavior. For example, if I say that you have the virtue of discipline, it means that you have a predictable behavior of disciplining yourself to get some things done. And you see, in the journey of success, in the journey of prosperity, it is predictable behavior that creates an economic system that changes your life financially. Let me say it again. It is predictable behavior that creates an economic system around you that changes your financial life. So, what is virtue? Virtue, the best way I can describe virtue is that virtue is an internal competence of character. When I say internal competence, I'm talking about things that governs, let's say, your mindset, your heart set, and everything character. That means there's a way that your soul has been transformed. So virtue is the internal competence of your character that governs important things in your life. Things like appetite, things like identity, you know who you are. Things like your conduct, things like skills that you can apply that produce predictable value across time. That is virtue. For example, if you're a man and you don't know, you don't have what it takes to govern your appetite for sex, for example, your appetite for greed and money, your appetite for pride. Anybody who cannot govern any form of appetite, that person does not have good virtues. And people like that never end up successful. Their success is always short lived. Why? Because their inability to govern certain appetites will destroy them. It is a repeat go. It's a repeated pattern. Go and study empires in the past. You will see that the rise and fall of major kings in their various dispensations. I'm talking about kings that ended up badly. The challenge was they did not have the virtue that they govern their appetite. You see, so virtue is the internal competence of your character that governs things like your appetite. It stabilizes your identity. You know who you are. You don't try to compare with anybody anymore. It directs your conduct. It produces predictable value across time. You see, so your virtue is a very important, let me use the word infrastructure, but it is not something you can see and touch. It is an invisible infrastructure. But you see, that infrastructure shapes the way you think, the way you make decisions, the way you restrain yourself, the way you create value, the way you execute tasks, the way you relate with different people. Do you know that the, the current way, let's say your current financial status, do you know that it is determined by these virtues in life? Because where you are right now financially, where you are right now in the journey of life, I am telling you, it has been shaped by how you think, how you make decisions, how you restrain yourself. There are people right now, let's say social media, they cannot restrain themselves from social media. And it shapes how you make it in life. You see, how you create value, how you execute, and how you relate with people that come towards you in life. So these inner qualities are important because these are the virtues that now enable you as a person, as a man, as a woman to function at a high level. When it comes to, let's say, pressure, abundance, opportunities, scarcity, betrayal, when something happens to you, whether negative or positive, how you act, how you react, how you function at that level will determine how far you will go in life. There are people right now, that they are in the place of sadness and depression, and their life seems as if results are not happening at a bigger scale because something happened to them, and because they did not have the right inner qualities in them. They did not know how to function under pressure or under that betrayal or around that difficult season. So it keeps them in the bondage of sadness and depression. And then years begins to go by or months go by and they lose time. So they can miss seasons that they were supposed to achieve great things in life because they did not have the internal structure or capacity to handle certain challenges or difficulties. You see, so one of the most important things that you need to develop as a person is virtue. Virtues are very important. If you have the wrong virtues in your life, there are many things in the journey of destiny that you will struggle to handle. There are some things that, like, let me take it to spirituality a bit. There are some things that, let's say, for Christians, if let's say there are some things that if you pray a lot, for example, but you don't have the virtue of patience, you still struggle with anger issues. There are some things that heaven cannot entrust to you. If you pray for influence, but you don't have the virtue of humility and you struggle with pride, there are some things that heaven cannot entrust to you. See, getting some virtues right is one of the most highest level of spiritual maturity. It is the same thing when it comes to wealth creation and prosperity. There are some virtues that if they are absent in your life, you can desire to find rest financially, but you will struggle to ever make money. I mean, money that can give you rest. Because the virtues that governs that economic system, you don't have it. You don't have it. So it is one thing to desire financial rest. It is another thing to begin to study yourself and ask yourself, do I have the virtues that makes wealthy people? Do you have the virtues that makes wealthy people? That is one of the ways that you can experience financial rest. Same as we have been talking in this as far as this retreat is concerned about going global. There are virtues that you have to keep on developing if you will stand on global platforms and serve people. Let me just give you some virtues that I believe that if you're going to build wealth, you're going to be a voice in your generation, some virtues I believe that you should develop over time, right? Apart from other basic virtues like humility, patience, right? Being teachable, those are important virtues. Being respectful, those are important virtues. And that's where parenting comes in. You see, parenting is one of the best things that can happen to you. And that's one thing I'm always grateful for my mother, right? See, by God's grace, I was raised well, right? I had my own mistakes. But when it comes to being raised, being disciplined, right? I was raised well. And it helped me a lot, and it is still helping me. Because there's a way parenting embed into you some virtues that even when you are living alone, basically after secondary school towards high school, I can literally say I started almost living alone. I used to go back to the family house. But you see, I didn't know how to end up drinking alcohol or playing. I remember a time that we were, and my mother is on this Zoom call right now, if she can remember very well. But one of the things I never forget, I never forget. There was a time that we were living in Hausa quarter, so we are going towards Mva Park. Mva Park is like the bigger town area. And as we were going up, on the right side of the road, there were games where people do gambling, right? Snooker, but gambling, snooker. and then what we used to call baby food, right? So as we were going up, and guys were praying on the right, and my friends were there, friends in the quarter, and then some even called my name, and I was looking at that. My mom just said, "If I ever catch you there, you're finished. If I ever catch you there, you're finished." Right? So, growing up, I have never done anything gambling. I was like, I think in Form 3, Form 4, something like that. Still very young, right? So there are some things that I could not really do because I was squarely warned. I have never entered a nightclub in my life. There were some guys that used to go to a nightclub that we were stopped from relating with them because they go to a nightclub. As that's how serious it was, right? So and many other things in that light. I can give you many examples in that light. Like right now, I've lived alone for a while, for so long right now. And I struggle to stay out after 6 p.m. Till now. I mean, till now. And my wife knows it. Like, if you draw a program, so the way I was raised, the only time we're permitted to come back home after 6 p.m. was if there's something going on in church. Like, I can go for Boys Brigade. I was like the Baptist church, right? Boys Brigade or Bible study or anything in church. So, the only time, I mean, till now, if the only time I have peace in my heart being out at night after 6 p.m. is either it's a church program or if I'm working. And if I'm the one working and I can change the program, trust me, it will always end before I get home early. I don't know. I hate night. I just hate it totally. Because there's a way my mother hated night. She didn't like anything about night, right? So I developed that. So what am I trying to say? So there are some things that parenting gives you some virtues. That even in the absence of your parents, there are some things I'm telling you, you find it difficult to do. You find it difficult to do. You see, I used to love to play football, soccer, right? And my highest fear about soccer was coming back home after 6 p.m. At that time, we didn't have phones, we could check time. So you play soccer and over enjoy and then forget. And then 6 p.m. passes. When you come back home, be sure of either some shouting and calling or some slapping or beating, right? That was certain. So, but that consciousness stayed, that it embedded some virtues into your life. So, what am I saying? It's the same like when it comes to prosperity, when it comes to, being influential and being a voice, there are some virtues that they are the backbones. They're the backbone of you making it. You see, because in your life, if you don't have, let me use the word operating system. I like to use that because I used to repair computers. And that's one thing my mom did put into me. Where during summer holidays, I'll go and learn how to shave. I'll go and learn how to repair computers, things like that. So it showed me how to be financially, creative or productive in that light. So I used to repair computers. And if the operating system is not right, certain programs cannot run on that computer. So early on, we used to have Windows 98, Windows 2000. So if they update a new program, like some of you have, let's say your phones right now, there are some apps that if you want to install, you need to update your operating system in the phone before that app can install. You see, so it's the same like wealth creation. You see, the virtues around your life, they are like your operating system. So I always say that you need to create an operating system that money can trust. Do you get the perspective? You need to create an operating system around your life that prosperity can trust. When prosperity sees you, it sees you as a candidate that they can stay with you. Do you get the perspective? It's very important. And let me tell you, money is spiritual. Money is spiritual. There are just some things that if you don't create the right atmosphere or operating system, you will not be a good candidate that money can trust and stay with you. because there's an operating system that can make money, can keep money, and can multiply money. You see, so many people have the operating system that they can make money only, and it stays there. That's why they live hand to mouth. They get salary, they eat it, they pay bills, it finish. Salary, eat it, pay bills, it finish. Why? Because the operating system in their life can only make money through salary. There are some that they can, from the money they are making, they can save. But they don't have the financial operating system that can enable them to save. They cannot discipline themselves to save. And then there's a part of that operating system should be able to help you to multiply the money you're making through different investment platforms or ideas. You see, so virtues are important. So let me just list some virtues that from personal studies and experience and practice, these are virtues that if they are in your life and you are consistent when it comes to developing them and using them, you can change your life. And these are things that you don't do them overnight. These are things that you plan in 10 years of becoming good at them. And that's why one thing about life, please, when it comes to life, please learn to have long-term agendas. Yes, learn to have long-term agendas. If you are someone that you don't know how to plan your life in 30 years, in 20 years, you don't have major goals that you pursue in years, and even lifetime mandate, there are some things you cannot handle in life. Like even this retreat, we're talking about how to go global. You don't go global in a year, in few months. It needs to become a mandate for you, a mission for you. You see, when I started my work in Kumbo in Cameroon at the time, in 2011 and the 12 and 13 and so on, I knew that I was going to go international. One way or the other. Did I know how? No, I didn't have the passport, but I just knew that was part of the plan. But when you stay the course and you have that long-term agenda, things begin to fall into place. And God is so faithful that He will orchestrate, because you have that dream, that desire, and that operating system. He will orchestrate the opportunities or the platforms that you need to know how to spot them and make good use of them to go to where you want to go according to His plan. You see, top virtues that I believe that if they're in your life and you practice them, they can influence your economic power. You don't wake up one morning and you have economic power. No, you need to build a strategy around it. And part of that strategy is the virtues that are in your life. Again, other virtues that are may sound very basic and popular, they're very important, right? Humility, patience, teachability, love, things they're very important. Trust me. All right. Number one is self-governance. Self-governance. Have the ability to regulate, let's say, your appetite, your emotions, your desires. You just get angry anyhow. Say, oh, that's how I am here. My anger, I fear my anger. And you're proud of it. You're saying as if something to be happy about. You lack self-governance. You eat anything eatable. Let's say you're a guy, you anything in skirt, problem with you, right? Or you're a lady, when you see apps or a guy who seems to have money doing well, oh my goodness, you will begin to make moves. You lack self-governance. Work on that. Self-governance is a virtue. Number two, discernment. 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 For Christians, it's much easier because you have the Holy Spirit. Discernment. The ability to read people, understand seasons and timings, understand patterns, incentives, intentions. Discernment is a powerful virtue. Very important. Number three, adaptability. That the kind of mindset that you can adjust your life and strategy at any time. Many people end up in sadness and depression because they lack the virtue of adaptability. Something goes wrong, they stay there and they're crying. What will crying solve now? What being sad do now? Adapt. Change strategy. Use what you have. Go forward. Number 3, integrity of your identity. That means you have come to that place where you know yourself. You have come to that place where when it comes to your identity, it is not defined by applause, achievement, money that you have, or titles. If your identity is still being defined by applause, awards, income, or money in your bank account, or titles, you don't have what I call the integrity of identity. The world talks about, when I say the world, I mean, like, let's say people are not Christians or believers, right? But if you're a believer, the integrity of your identity is derived by who you are in Christ, because Jesus Christ will never change. He's the unstable person. He's a rock that never shakes. So whether you have money or not, knowing who you are in Christ should be steady. And that's how you win in life. So when a crisis comes and hits you, you don't get into sadness and depression and failure mindset because something did not happen. No. When you have the right identity, crisis or no crisis, you are good. Money or no money, you're happy, because it's very important. And when you build from that anchor, you're going to succeed faster. Trust me. The next virtue that is important is discipline, self-discipline. Now, I describe self-discipline as the capacity to repeat high-value behaviors beyond your feelings. That's self-discipline. The capacity to repeat on a daily basis high-value behaviors beyond feelings. For example, you see, I've been reading at least, let's say, 25 to 30 books a year since 2011 or so. There are days I don't want to read. There are days I don't want to read, trust me. But because of self-discipline, it's a high-value behavior for me. You see, it's a high-value behavior for me. So self-discipline is the capacity to repeat high-value behaviors beyond your feelings. Since the same time, 2010, 11 or so, there are few days in my life that 4 a.m. has made me on the bed. In short, between 2010 to 16, I used to get up at 2 a.m. Yes. And I'm just studying. And there are days I don't want to get up. There are days that my feelings don't want to get up. That I need to push myself to repeat on a daily basis that high value behavior. If you're here and you easily postpone, you can easily procrastinate a high value behavior, you know that is important to you, and you can easily procrastinate it, I'm telling you. And yet at the same time, you are desiring big success, breakthroughs, open door. I wanted to say something funny, but let me say, in brackets, you are practicing witchcraft. So proof of self-discipline is you identify, I have my top 5 high value behaviors I do every day. And I've done it for more than 15 years. So for me to say I am self-disciplined, I need to repeat the high value behaviors on a daily basis, whether I feel like it or not. My feelings no longer have to determine when it comes to those particular things. They don't have permission to do that. And they'll keep rising every day, but I need to subdue them. So if you desire success and breakthrough, and you're not paying the price for that, something is definitely wrong somewhere. The next virtue that is important is responsibility. Many people, especially my generation, they struggle with responsibility. This is the virtue of owning your outcomes, owning your decisions. You make mistakes, you own them, you repent, and you keep going forward. You own your future without blaming your parents or your government. Did they mess up? Are they messing up? No, that may be true. But if you stay and you blame them, you don't have the responsibility or the virtue of responsibility. Own your life, own your decisions, own your mistakes, change and go forward. The virtue of wisdom, the ability to acquire knowledge, understand that knowledge, and then apply that knowledge and produce results. That's wisdom. Pay the price. And you cannot begin to operate in the virtue of wisdom if you don't know how to discipline yourself to acquire relevant knowledge in your industry and what you're doing. These virtues are very important if you're going to go far in the journey of life. I believe that this session on virtues has blessed you. Let's go to our next session for the day that I actually plan to talk about.